I remember me and my friends, we ended up going to this party, and right as we walk in, we started looking around and we realized that there was a lot of different girls there that we never seen before. And in my mind, I was really confused until I realized one of the girls went to a middle school nearby me, and that's when I noticed we were at the Diddy party. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome to the most disgusting and I gotta say embarrassing story ever. Because this story all takes place back in my high school year, and this was back when I was 17 years old. So I was basically in my grade 11 year, I could say. Now, when I was in my grade 11 year, I remember I had a car, I was considered one of the cool kids in my high school, and I would get invited to a bunch of different parties. Like, for example, every time there was a party being hosted, I would usually get invited because a lot of girls would know that I was going, and girls would kind of just go because I was going, I guess. I really never understood why or how that was possible, but I guess in some way I ended up attracting women. And I remember one time I was in my social studies classroom, and there was one guy in my class that, let's just say, didn't have the best reputation, because every time, like, he would always like flex that he was in a relationship with someone, but he never said who. And every time he would flex that he had a girlfriend and someone did ask who it was, he would always say the same thing. Oh, like, she goes to another school. I never really understood why people say that. Like, honestly, it gets to a point where I don't even believe that they have a girlfriend if they say that. Let's keep going with the story. I remember one time in my social studies class, me and all the guys were sitting together working on a social studies project, and then the weird guy that I was explaining about earlier walks up to us. He walks up to us and says, "Yo, boys, I was just wondering, man, like, do you guys want to come over to like a party that my girlfriend's having?" At that moment, we all looked at each other, me and all the guys at least, and we were thinking, is it really worth going to this guy's party? Because one, no one's ever actually seen his girlfriend or know what his girlfriend looks like. And two, would we really want to go to a party that the weird guy's hosting? Like, let's be honest here. If you got invited by a person that was really not cool whatsoever, or I guess not popular as well, would you go to a party that he was hosting? Comment down below. But I remember we all looked at each other and we ended up asking him, "Oh, like, where's the party?" "Oh, it's at my girlfriend's place, man. And trust me, there's gonna be a lot of chicks there. So if you don't show up, you're missing out." When he said there was gonna be a lot of girls there, I remember all the guys looked over at me and they're like, "Well, I mean, we could go. There's girls going." "Yeah, but we don't know what these girls look like," is what I said. And then that's when the weird guy ended up saying, "Boys, trust me, man. Just like show up. It'll be worth it. I'll text you the address, Bubba. You got it, brother. Make sure you show up with your car because chicks love cars." At that moment, me and all the guys started looking at each other and we're like, sure, we'll show up. Why not? And then right as he walks away, that's when I straight up said, "Yo, we're not going to that party." I remember all the guys looked at me and they're like, "What? Why not? We told him we would go." "Dude, we're not going to a party that he's hosting. Are you guys crazy?" And then that's when another one of my friends ended up saying, "Yeah, but Bubba, like, bro, there's girls going. Like, why not? If there's girls going, we should go because we're guys, they're girls. You know what I'm saying? And also, he says his girlfriend's from another school. So let's actually see if this girl even exists." At that moment, they made up a lot of good points. We never seen this guy's girlfriend, and maybe his girlfriend has attractive friends, you know? Like, can we really lose there is what I was thinking. So I remember we all agreed to go to this party, and as days went on, every time in socials class, he would come up to us and remind us that the party was happening. And every single time he would remind us, he would keep dropping hints about really weird things. Like, for example, one time he walked up to us and said, "Hey guys, remember the really cool party's gonna happen. And also, I'm just gonna say this right now, there's gonna be a ton of fresh meat." Fresh meat is what I said. Who calls a girl fresh meat? Like, what? That's so weird is what I said to him, but he didn't care. He kept doing his own thing, and he basically ended up dropping these really awkward hints as time went on. But finally, it became Friday, and it was the day of the party. And I remember the day of the party, when we went to socials class, he would walk up to us again and say, "Yo, boys, it's the day of the party. Y'all gonna show up or what?" Yeah, we'll be there," is what I told him. And all the guys started shaking their head yes. And let's just say what happened later that night. I severely regret going, okay? I'm gonna give this warning out right now. Please do not demonetize me. Please do not get me in any trouble. I swear I am innocent. I'm not EDP, okay? Like, I swear I'm innocent. But basically, I remember that night, we all ended up getting to my place. We walked over to my place. We hung out there for a bit. And then afterwards, we all got inside my car and drove over to this party. And when we got there, we didn't know who this house belonged to be honest with you. We kind of just guessed it was his girlfriend. And right as we pulled up to the driveway, I remember the weird guy from my social studies class walks out. He walks walks out and says, yo, Bubba, how you doing, homie? He ends up dabbing me up and he tells me, bro, trust me, man, there's a lot of girls in there and they're all like fresh off the lot. You know what I'm saying, dog? No, I have no idea what you're saying, is what I told him. And basically we ended up going inside. When we went inside, I remember we did see a lot of girls at that party and there was a lot of different women there. But as like we started like going into the house more, we realized that it was definitely a birthday party, but it looked like a kid's birthday party because there was parents around, and like on top of that there was like a bunch of like balloons that looked like it was a kid's party. So I started to feel somewhat uncomfortable and my friends started to notice that. But then the weird guy that was from my social studies class ends up walking up to us with a girl wrapped around his arm, and he walks up to us saying, yo, Bubba, I want you guys to meet my girlfriend finally. At that moment we looked at her and she looked really young, but I ended up being nice and I shook her hand and I said, hi, like, thanks for the invite to the party. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Did you guys bring any presents? Well, like, I knew it was a birthday party, but like I didn't actually bring presents. Sorry, my bad, I totally forgot. Oh, it's okay. If you guys did bring anything though, there's a present table by my parents. When she said that, I had to ask her. I remember I looked at her straight in the eye and I asked her, yo, I just have a question. How old are you? Oh, I just turned 14. At that moment, my heart stopped and I started to look around and I started to realize, bro, we're at a middle school birthday party and like, what in the world is going on? Like, why am I there? I remember I looked at all the guys and I saw them talking to girls and I ran up to each one of them and said, yo, bro, let's get out of there. No, we're getting out of here right now. Don't talk to this girl. And I remember one of the girls was like, why? Like, I want to talk to him. And that's when I whispered into my friend's ear, bro, she's 13. At that moment, all the guys just ran out the front door. Like, we literally got out of there and I remember seeing the parents totally confused on why we were running out the party. And instantly at that moment, we ended up getting inside my car and I screamed so loud saying, bro, we went to a middle school party. We basically went to the Diddy party. At that moment, all the guys were like, yo, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And we were so grossed out that we went there. But that's not even the worst part, because I remember the weird guy from my social studies class and his girlfriend ended up coming out to my car saying, oh, like, Bubba, like, what's going on? What's wrong with you? Yeah, bro, like, what's going on, man? Like, why'd you leave the party? And that's when I told him, bro, you're dating someone that's 13 and you're 17 years old, bro. Grow up. You're disgusting. And that's when I drove out of there. I drove out of there. I went straight to drop off the guys, went home, and just laid down in my bed regretting every decision I made that day. But I knew since the beginning it would not be a good idea to trust this guy, okay? I'm gonna just say that right now. And if you guys right now watching this video aren't weirdos that would go to a Diddy party, then subscribe right now and follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys. I remember when me and this guy ended up pulling up to the middle school, out of nowhere, he looks at me and ends up going into his backpack and saying, yo, Bubba, I brought the stuff, bro. What do you mean the stuff? Is what I asked him. And then he ends up pulling out baby oil. This whole time throughout the whole school day, this guy had baby oil. Yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba and welcome to the most sus story I think I'm ever gonna tell on this channel. Now, before anyone decides to cancel me, I just want to say I was not the person that brought anything sus to school, okay? Like, this was not me. This was not my doing, but I was there to experience the most sus thing ever, and you guys will not understand until you guys hear this story. And this story all starts off back in my grade 9 year, and let's just say grade 9 was really, really weird for me. Since it was the start of me going into high school, and honestly, me not knowing anyone nor anything about the high school life, I was really oblivious to all things. And since I was oblivious, getting into a friend group was not super easy. I remember I ended up becoming friends with people that I recognized back in middle school, and honestly, a lot of them were still super weird. Since middle school was full of weirdos, one of the people that I actually ended up meeting up with and becoming friends with in my high school, my grade 9 year, was this guy that we're just gonna call Jared. Now, Jared was an ultimate weirdo. No joke, for some reason for him, he always likes living in the past and thinking that his life back when he was in middle school had anything to do with high school. And for all those people that are coming from middle school to high school watching this video, I hate to break it to you, whatever happens in middle school stays in middle school. High school is a totally new, fresh start where you gotta make it up the popularity list or you're gonna be nobody. But anyways, I ended up hanging out with this guy that we're gonna call Jared, and basically me and him, we ended up going around the school and just discovering ways of, well, I guess enjoying high school. But this is where things get a lot worse, because I remember one thing that Jared could never let go of that was in middle school was his middle school girlfriend. Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking, wait, this guy was in high school and he's dating someone from middle school? Well, you gotta understand, his girlfriend when we were in grade 8, she was in grade 7. So since me and Jared ended up going to grade 9, which is high school, let's just say his girlfriend got left behind back in middle school going into her grade 8 year. Now me, I always thought Jared was really weird for this, but let's just say things got a lot weirder hanging out with Jared Jared over time, because I remember every single day he would always end up texting his grade 8 girlfriend that was in middle school, and it was super cringe. And that wasn't even the worst part, because I remember one day Jared ended up walking up to me saying, "Yo, Bubba, I was just wondering, bro, do you want to like, stop by the middle school? I want to go see my girlfriend." Nah, I'm good, dude. To be honest, I don't really want to go back to that middle school. Why, Bubba, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, it's just girls. Like, and my girlfriend's gonna be there, and like, she has friends for you as well. When he said that, I remember I was ultimately not wanting to go, because I thought going back there just to pull girls was really just disgusting. Now, maybe some of you guys won't think that since it was a 1-year age gap, but you gotta understand, like, she was in a totally different school, and nor was I interested in anyone that much younger than me, or to be honest, anyone of that matter. Like, it was middle school. Anyways, going on with the story, I remember one day after school came around, and basically I was actually about to head home. Sadly though, my parents couldn't pick me up from school, so I ended up looking around the front of the school, and I saw Jared, and he was basically waving over at me to come to him. When I went over to him, I remember I ended up seeing him, and I asked him, "Hey Jared, what you doing today?" "Oh, yo, Bubba, come bro, you gotta follow me. I'm about to do something crazy." Okay, sure. And at that moment, I remember me and Jared ended up walking up the hill to our old middle school, and as we were walking that direction, I knew in my mind that we were going back there. But obviously, I wasn't willing to turn back around and just go home because, well, we were already this far in. So I remember I ended up going up the hill with Jared, and when we got to our middle school, we ended up going to the middle school field, and that's when we saw her. No, not Jared's girlfriend, another girl. And this girl was like a lot younger, like I think even in grade 6, to the point where I looked at Jared and said, Jared, who's the girl we're meeting up with?" "Oh, bro, Bubba, she is one of the finest girls, and you would love her, bro." "Wait, what?" And I remember as we walked up to the field, Jared looks at the girl that was at the field originally that looked super young, by the way, and says to her, "Yo, so this is my buddy Bubba, and like, bro, he's single right now." I remember I ended up looking at her, and she looks at me and tries to start flirting with me. But obviously for me, I was not interested whatsoever, to the point where I ended up giving her the cold shoulder and basically said, hey. Yeah, literally nothing else. I didn't even say another word after that to her. I just said hi to be polite, and then decided to just absolutely ignore her. Every time she asked me a question about me and Jared, or, what are my hobbies, or really anything, I would just not reply. To the point where Jared looked at me and said, "Bro, are you like nervous to talk to girls? Like, I didn't think you were gay or anything." "Nah, it's not that, Jared. It's just like, she's young, dude, and she goes to my old middle school. Like, can't you just leave middle school in the past?" At that point, Jared just got annoyed with it, and while one thing led to another, I just ended up leaving them both alone. But let's just say, since I left, things got a lot worse for Jared, because the next day when I went to school, I remember I ended up seeing Jared sitting in the cafeteria, except he wasn't all excited and happy. He actually was being really sad. So I walked up to him and said, "Hey, like, is everything okay? What happened?" And that's when he started bawling his eyes out saying, "Bubba, it's all your fault, bro. This is all your fault. Like, why did you have to leave the other day?" What are you talking about?" is what I asked him. And that's when he ended up pulling out his phone and going through the messages between him and his girlfriend that was still in middle school. I remember I ended up seeing a photo of the girl we met up with yesterday and Jared. And basically, she ended up breaking up with Jared since I left them both alone, and she thought he was cheating on her. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't blame the girl for thinking that, because, well, I guess Jared still prefers the middle school type. But I'm gonna be honest, since I saw him bawling his eyes out and blaming me for what happened, I ended up telling him, "Yo, bro, okay, you know what? We can go to the middle school and try to make it up to her. You should think of like a romantic gesture just to get her back." At that moment, I remember he looks over at me and starts shaking his head, yeah. And, well, I guess he already had something planned, but I wasn't sure what. I remember when the bell rang for school to start, I ended up going to my classes, and one thing I realized was that Jared actually ended up skipping school. I didn't know if he went to go make his romantic gesture, but let's just say he ended up leaving the school and not coming back until finally after school came around. And this is where things get really sus, because after school, when the bell rang, I ended up getting a text message on my phone from Jared. He ended up texting me saying, "Yo, Bubba, meet me in front of the school right now." Okay, is what I texted him back, and I ended up meeting him in front of the school. When I did, I remember I ended up just seeing him with nothing but his backpack, and he looked at me saying, "Okay, Bubba, I know that romantic gesture that I want to do." "Okay, cool, what is it?" "You'll see, come follow me." At that moment, me and Jared ended up going back up the hill, going to our old middle school, and went to the field. And when we went there, we ended up seeing his middle school girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend at the time, I should say, with another guy. At that moment, this girl got super annoyed and really upset, to the point where he actually ended up going and yelling, saying, "Babe, please take me back. I love you. I'll show you how much I love you." And I was cringing out so hard, to the point where, no joke, this guy guy ends up pulling out baby oil from his backpack, and he ended up putting it all over himself in front of the middle school kids. I don't even know what to think at this point. Like, I was really sussed out. Like, no joke, I don't even think Diddy would pour that much baby oil on himself for the middle schoolers. But no joke, at that moment, I was looking around thinking, what should I do? And then out of nowhere, Jared's ex-girlfriend ends up walking up to Jared saying, Gee, baby, you know how much I love baby oil. The smell of it makes me so happy. What? Is what I said in my mind, super confused on what in the world was going on. And when one thing led to another, while Jared was drenched in baby oil, they actually ended up making out on the field. Yeah, super disgusting. I gotta say, super weird. And as for all the other middle school guys, and including the guy that I guess this girl was cheating with, I don't really know what the situation was. He ended up standing beside me saying, yo, bro, aren't you guys in high school? What are you guys doing back here? You don't want to know, is what I told him. And well, that was basically how he ended up getting his ex-girlfriend back. Honestly, they ended up breaking up 2 weeks later. All I'm gonna say is that once you're out of middle school, stay away from there. The kids don't want you, especially if you're Diddy with baby oil. But if you guys are not weirdos, then follow for more embarrassing stories just like this one. Peace out, guys.